It's more of learning from this group than giving a keynote address, because we're quite together out here for one common reason, which is climate change. Climate change mitigation, climate change adaptation, climate change action. And what we commonly believe when the more people I meet, my belief in this is getting firmer each day, is that, we obviously tend to speak a lot about the future is green, the future is electric, the future is clean. There is no future if we don't act now, and there's no time to act in that sense. We've often come to believe that we have the luxury of 10 years, our SDG goals are, a lot of things that go on is about 2040, 2060, 2030, but no one's talking about the fact that we won't reach 2030 or 2040 if we don't start today. In fact, I also believe we're about 5 or 10 years late. And it's up to us now, and I'm not in the hubris, or I don't carry around the arrogance of believing that the human race can save planet Earth, because obviously the planet heals itself. We're a part of the environment, we're part of nature that we are seeking to heal. So if we start healing our own selves with our own actions, better our actions every day, we can actually heal nature. Because I think that is what we are a part of. We are not something that is exclusive from nature, that we are going to take in front of us and heal. So that is one thing. But having said that, a month ago, not more than a month ago, we started off with the Mumbai Climate Action Plan, the MCAP. And what I find again very, very crucial in that is the word action plan, because there's been tons of plans, there's been tons of ideation, there's been a lot of thought processes, conventions, a lot of people who've spoken about this. But I think now is the time for us to act, and the fact that we have got going on the Mumbai Climate Action Plan says a lot for the city of Mumbai. The big thing today is, of course, we're linking everything with the word sustainable. I think that is very crucial for us, because if you look at even RA, when the government of Maharashtra in September 2020 declared about 808 acres of RA forest as a reserve forest in the city of Mumbai, I don't think any other government across the world has had the audacity to declare 800 acres in a city like Mumbai, which is an urban sprawl, ever-growing metropolis, to call it a forest. And we don't call it a forest only because it is full of trees, because trees are all over the place, especially in a city like Mumbai. You have trees by the roadside, in the middle of cricket grounds, playgrounds. You've got trees in also schools and colleges. But here you have an ecosystem that is thriving with the smallest of flora fauna to the biggest of them. You have the big cat like the leopard, you have the rusty spotted cat, you have spiders, to a lot of endemic species of flora and fauna which is found in RA. And that was, I think it was something for us as a duty to declare RA as a forest. But we couldn't have just stopped at that. Of course, across Maharashtra, 10 conservation reserves, 2 sanctuaries, 9,800 hectares of mangroves, and much more we're going for again. And that is one place where, I look up to Jamshed sir, because when I read about him all the time, it's about mangroves and mangrove protection, which could have easily be developed into real estate at some point back in the day when there was not much awareness about mangroves. I think it's something to learn from for our generation in terms of what do you call as development. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Aaditya Thackeray, always says that development is essential, but the development has to be sustainable, the development has to be eco-friendly. When we're creating roads or railways or anything for that matter, we look at the first thing is how much of the commute is shortened. How fast can we go? Can we really shorten the distance between 2 cities or 2 places? That is true. And that is also, the first and foremost consideration. But when we are doing that, if we go through forests, if we destroy forests, if we destroy the natural ecosystem, it's only going to take you faster, but faster to a hospital and not to the place you actually want to reach. So that is one of the things I think we need to look at. There's tons of examples around us in terms of eco-friendly development. One of the most mind-boggling things that is happening around us is the MTHL, the Nhava Sheva link that we are creating. I've been there often. I go there almost every 2 months because I have this little passion of dabbling with infrastructure and trying and going to see what the progress is. Are there any hurdles to ease it out? And I have been seeing month after month in the season where the flamingos flock towards Mumbai, the work is going on in absolutely like a good pace, silently enough, and the flamingos are harbored around the MTHL and really just sitting calmly around it, which gives you a snapshot of what really ecosystem building or eco-friendly development could be. Having said that, the future is, of course, what we build today. Mumbai is looking at an ambitious plan with C40, with WRI, to restructure our city in terms of what we call as ease of living. Because very often when we have such conventions and Zoom calls with CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, and the multiplicities of all the industrial associations, we speak about ease of doing business. And that's where a country is, looking forward to, looking up to, where getting rid of multiple laws and regulations that have become redundant. But we're also one state. The government of Maharashtra is looking at ease of living. And ease of living obviously means a better city, since most of Maharashtra is getting urbanized. Defining what urbanization means, is urbanization only glass buildings and concrete roads, or is it better planned buildings, better planned cities? Like Jamshid was saying, we've got a bipolar city. How do the poles really melt in our city to actually create, if not a 15-minute city, because that concept is for the cities that developed before the motorable car was brought in. But today, if we have areas like Dharavi, if we have areas like Mumbai, if we have areas which are huge in chunks, like I have in my own constituency, BDD, which is acres and acres of area which is going to be into redevelopment. How do we redefine those cities to be sustainable in their own small boroughs? How do we create those cities within cities to be 15-minute cities? How do we create a greenhouse gas inventory that is offset by an ecosystem that is within that area of redevelopment? And how do we look at something down the line, which is say 15 years down the line, where you have enough greenery in each and every ward or borough, as we can understand, to offset really our greenhouse gas inventory that the city has? Obviously, there's a lot of work that should happen, that is happening, along with C40, along with WRI, along with multiple other agencies, the BMC, MMRDA, all the planning agencies, be it better planning our streets, our footpaths, greening our urban spaces, creating better hubs for what we would call as oxygen banks, in terms of natural oxygen banks. All of that is going on. Of course, we're working on our sewage treatment plants. Each year, each day actually, we dispose almost 3,000 million liters of water per day into the sea untreated. With our STPs coming up in the next 5 years, Mumbai will have 2,700 million liters of water per day treated and put back into use. I think that is one of the biggest wins we could have as a city in terms of marine ecosystems. Each of our wards today is indulging in Maji Vasundhara, which is the flagship of the government of Maharashtra, which focuses on the 5 elements of nature. We're looking at, of course, transport audits. We're looking at energy audits of our own government buildings. We're looking at greenhouse gas inventories of each ward. So for example, something like rainwater percolation systems, rainwater harvesting within our own parks, gardens, schools, municipal places, government buildings, huge housing societies. That is something we're looking at. Urban forest is something we've been focusing on for the last 2 years with Miyawaki plantation. We've planted more than 200,000 trees in the city of Mumbai, looking for much more in the coming year, and not just in the forested areas of RA or the Karnala Bird Sanctuary or in MMR. Because most often what happens is, when we speak about afforestation, we do that in forests. Why not in our own cities? And that's why we're trying to create urban forests in the heart of our own city. Wherever we have parks, wherever we have recreation grounds, wherever we have schools, colleges, junctions, we can create smaller urban thickets that can actually absorb the carbon emissions, and that's what we're looking at. In terms of course, electric mobility, I was just reading up on Autocar, that the famous magazine, that the Tata Group has put an article out there. I read this report where within a span of a month, more than 100 EVs have been booked on the Tata Nexon thing. Now, it's of course not fair for me to obviously endorse any particular car, because obviously all e-cars are really good. But the good part about it is, each of these companies, be it Mercedes, be it Tata, be it Audi, be it whichever company that's coming out in the world, is looking at Maharashtra as a huge market, and Maharashtra as a market, and Mumbai is a market, is responding to electric mobility. We're looking at more than 1,500 charging points across the city. We're making it compulsory for all public parking lots, shopping malls, housing complexes, to actually go electric, at least reserve 30% of their parking slots as electric. So when we speak of electric mobility, once again, we cannot be burning thermal power and supplying this electric fuel to our cars. So we're creating an ecosystem which is green. We're looking at the Mumbai-Nagpur highway to generate about 250 megawatts of solar energy alone from that highway itself. Now, these are some of the things and systems that we have put in place. Obviously, with this, this whole coming together of the best of the minds in terms of urban planning, passionate environmentalists, city planners, green planners, architects, visionaries in terms of WRI, C40, and the network that they've connected Mumbai to. We're really thankful for the connections, because in the past few weeks, we've connected with Los Angeles, Barcelona, Montreal, Oslo to look at what climate budgeting could be, look at what the next few years would mean for us in terms of a climate test for each of our decisions. The government of Maharashtra has sincerely and very seriously taken the IPCC report. We presented it to the cabinet of the government of Maharashtra, where I thought that, I was looking at a mixed reaction from the cabinet, because of course each minister looks at defending their own department very vociferously, and some of the departments obviously have a large carbon footprint. The surprising element was each minister walked up to me later on or called me and said, Aditya, let's work on this together, because the departments are really key and crucial to take this forward. Because now that we have got the sanction from the cabinet to create the State Council for Climate Change, I'm looking at just not Maharashtra, but every state across India to have a State Council for Climate Change. The whole idea really is that, we have weekly reviews for weather events in Maharashtra. We have weekly reviews for COVID in Maharashtra now. We're going to have a weekly review of the targets set by State Council of Climate Change in the cabinet, which is going to be chaired by the Chief Minister. And of course, assess ourselves, judge ourselves, and keep our socks up in terms of climate change mitigation and adaptation. I look forward to work very, very closely with you. There are times where governments, do good. There are times where we can fail, falter, try again. But with your support, I think we can go a long way. This is, of course, I can divide this into two aspects of belief. One is, of course, climate change mitigation, adaptation is a very selfish goal for me, for having a better life ahead in the city we live, in the country we live, on the planet we live. And of course, the other one is for all of us together. Thank you.